Scribble notes when I wrote these quotes. If I offend, pardon me, there's more of me to grow. Creative in my process, enjoy the show. The will is different when you recognize the different strokes. Different folks, same goals, we all want the most. So when we reach the top, we can enjoy the toast. The type of bread we get is fresh about the bakery. Told them don't play with me, with or without a degree. Don't question my intensity, bravery. Similar to agencies that want to see you fold. So just pray for me. Yeah, Einstein with my energy.
Welcome to the Scribble Notes podcast. How you doing?
Amazing. Black.
I'm glad to have you back. Why don't you reintroduce yourself for the audience and all the listeners?
So my name is Alissa Anglis. Actually, I think my ads have changed since the last time I've been
They have.
on here. They have. I think all of them have. But my name is Alissa Anglis. I guess we'll say owner, creator of Dear Alissa brand. So when I came on here, it was just like Dear Alissa blog / podcast, but now I turned it into a brand. So Dear Alissa brand. Currently, I guess I expanded since the last time we've been on here. I decided to turn it into like a merchandise type deal too, which has been super amazing and super, super hot, messy, but successful. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, what was the thought process behind expansion and all the things you're doing?
So I feel like the reason why I did it in the first place was I had all of these ideas anyways, with like my podcast, and like I wanted to come up with like cool titles and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, you know what? I want to make some money. So I'm going to just try it out. I had nothing to do. I was still like in my healing process. So I needed to keep myself busy a little bit. So I just started, I think it was like around February, I just like started brainstorming like ideas on what I could put onto like hoodies. And then I was like, you know what, I'm going to ask people, what do they like? So like, if you were following me on Instagram, you would notice like I posted like hoodies or crews or like black or white, and like just kind of like little things that got people involved and paying attention to my account. And that brought up like the activity, I would say, on my account. And so from there, I just kind of like kept that going. I kept brainstorming. And I was like, you know what? It was like end of February, and I was like, fuck it, I'm actually gonna do it. So that was like, it took me like a month of prep, which is not a long time. I definitely rushed myself for sure. I changed like the 4 original like little slogans that I came up with for the hoodies at first, changed like 20 times throughout the month.
Oh my gosh.
And it was literally like the last week, and I was like, nah, this is it. The last day I'm sitting there taking pictures at like 11 o'clock at night, because I said I was gonna like put everything up at midnight. I'm like sitting there last minute, and it was, that first day was like life-changing. If anybody ever wants to start a business, like I highly recommend doing it, because that first day, like number one, it's like, okay, people are actually watching, like people are actually listening, and people actually fucks with what I'm doing. You know, so it was super, super rewarding.
Nah, that's awesome. It's like crazy to even think like launching a business, launching something so different from what you were doing. How does it feel? One, let's start there, and then I'm going to ask you a little bit about details and how you actually did it.
Perfect. So how does it feel? It's overwhelming for sure. My boyfriend, I feel really bad. He like always has to deal with it, but like he helps me out a lot. But overwhelming for sure. Like especially within this past week, like I just started a new job. I'm doing like a little side gig and then Dear Alissa. So it's like I work 6 hours a day technically at my job, but I'm literally working like all day, it feels like. So overwhelming, but so rewarding. And it's like I actually want to do it because like it's something that I'm passionate about. And also it's like more of like the impact that I feel like I'm making. Like I'm getting like my first buy that I got that I had no idea who they were. I was like, holy shit, like this is crazy. Like this is nuts. So super rewarding and motivating for sure too. Like it makes me want to keep going because it's like a slow growth for sure. Like I'm not going to say I'm on top of the, like, well, I have 250 followers on Dear Alissa, but like when it comes down to it, it's like I've grown so much since when I had my podcast and I had like 30 followers. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like it's, and then on top of people buying who aren't even following, and it's like everything is just like growing slowly. So it's super, 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 super rewarding.
Yeah, it's crazy because you really do get to see like how it starts and you're like watching it grow. Like it's
Literally.
only been, you say you started in February, so it's only been like 6 months.
Yeah. So I started the podcast almost a year ago. I
Mm.
started the brand on April 1st. So
Mm.
I'm like, it's just like
Wow.
crazy. Like it's nuts. April 1st was like when I officially made it the brand. And it's like, now it's just awesome. Like I'll go like to the gym and like my friend wears Dear Alyssa. So like I'll go Liv. She'll wear Dear Alyssa and like I'm just like, it's just crazy. Like that's my brand. Somebody posted the other day, it was like, what's your favorite brand? And they're like, Dear Alyssa. And it was just like, even if it's just one person, it's like just crazy because I'm like, oh my God, like I'm going into people's heads. Like people are thinking of me and people are thinking of the brand. And like the reason why I started it was to get people talking about tiny things that nobody wants to talk about.
Yeah.
And like it's starting these conversations. So it's super, super fucking rewarding.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's crazy. So how did you, what are like the steps? Because there's gonna be a lot of people listening that wanna maybe launch something themselves, and
Which would be awesome.
what is it? What did you actually do to get there? Like I'm always interested in people selling merch.
Honestly, you should definitely look into this. Like I feel like you'd be super successful with it. But so I feel like a lot of research, like I did a lot of YouTube searching and TikTok scrolling on like small businesses and like what to do, where to go. Like, so that was kind of the baseline of like where to go to buy like a bulk items and what to do with like where you want to set up your store. And it's like there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that is super overwhelming at first, but like it just kind of comes. I guess like you get a question that comes up, it's like, oh fuck, I have to figure out how to like make shipping labels and like what do I do to print out a shipping label, and you have to like look everything up. So it was like a lot of pre-planning for sure. What I originally started off with like baseline was just like cool little sayings that I would come up with. Like my podcast titles is like where I started, and I was like, wait a second, like this is catchy. So like I started off by just writing down all of my ideas whenever I walk around. Like I still do it. Go to the gym, something comes to my head, blah, 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 blah. Like I just write down a little saying that comes to my head. And I have like this huge list on my phone where it's like I figure out like what I like and if it's actually gonna work or not.
Yeah.
And so it was a lot of brainstorming at first, and then obviously execution, which is I feel like the hardest part. At the time I was working at a restaurant when I first started this, started thinking about it. So like having to fit in, like working at night, figuring out how to use my machine that prints out all of my labels and like stencils and stuff like that. Like that was super time consuming. I'm trying to figure out how to do that. But like it's so worth it in the end. Like I will continue to harp on that it's worth it. But like, yeah, so just execution, like making your prototypes. I wore my prototypes like for a whole month, like before dropping, and I would go like Fancy Bagel or like go out to Starbucks and like, oh, I like your hoodie, or oh, I like that sweatshirt, blah, 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 and just get it out there. So a lot of like talking about myself. Like I went to the gas station one time and my boyfriend went inside and he's like, because the guy was like, oh, I like that sweatshirt. And I was on the phone. And I was like, thank you. And so I'm like, go. So he goes inside, he tells the dude that my sweatshirt's Dear Alyssa, gives him my Instagram. Like it's a lot of like marketing yourself.
Yeah.
So definitely talking a lot about it too. So I would say those are like prep, execution, and then branding, like marketing yourself and who you are, what you do.
What's been the most challenging piece since you started doing merchandise?
I feel like, I mean, number one, I would say is marketing yourself is definitely kind of difficult, getting it out there, because sometimes it's tough. Small businesses are tough because it's like people don't want to spend all this money when they can go on Shein and buy a sweatshirt for $6, but my sweatshirts run like almost $40, you know? So like that's definitely been a challenge, but I like it because it's weeding out people who aren't willing to support. And if you're not willing to support, then I'd love your money, but I don't want your money. You know, like I don't want if you're not willing to support. But the second one, I would feel like time, because these are all like podcasting and like writing your books and all that stuff. It's like same thing with me. Like this is a side hustle. It's not a like whole full blown business yet.
Yeah.
But like finding the time because this obviously doesn't pay my rent 100%. Duh.
Yep.
So like finding the time in your busy day, trying to like spend time with family and friends and significant other, and like also trying to do this at the same time is super challenging. But it's just trial and error and just figuring it out. Everybody in my life is really understanding about it too. So like I'm grateful for that. But I could definitely see somebody else struggling with trying to balance this all because you want to give it your 100% attention because it's your little baby. Like actually you're like, oh my God. Like you watch it grow, you want to baby it. But like, so for you, it's something that's super like a big deal. And other people, it's like, oh, she's talking about Dearless again. But most of the people in my life are really understanding. So I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah, it's like the business doesn't grow unless you're growing it. So
Exactly.
you have to put all the work in, all the time, all the energy, and it's hard because not everyone's going to understand why. But they'll see the outcome. They'll see the outcome. They'll see the result, and they'll be like, okay, now it makes sense as things are happening. And yeah, it's like execution is so difficult when it comes to a lot of this stuff because it's just not guaranteed that it's all going to work out right the first time.
Yeah. Another thing that I feel like I'm getting used to is like, it's so obvious, but when it comes down to it, it's like you go to work and you make money every day because you're like going to work and you're doing the work. But like with this, it's like you put in hours and hours and hours of work. Like yesterday, I literally worked on Dearless and stuff, like making a new logo and updating my links, updating my website. It's like I worked on it for like, I want to say maybe 4 hours and I didn't get paid for it. Like you go to work and you get paid and you're like, oh, I'm putting all this work in because I'm getting money. But it's like with businesses, it's like these behind the scenes things, like you have to put in the work. It's like you sit down for what, 20 hours. I mean, obviously it doesn't take 20 hours to write a book, but like 20 hours, for example, writing a book, you don't get paid for the 20 hours, you get paid after. But it's like, that's another thing that it's a mindset type thing where some people are just like not built for like working and not getting paid, but like seeing the outcome. So I feel like that's like a mindset shift that I definitely did because I was used to hustling, and every time I hustle, I get my money, and I'm hustling for it to, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Like some designs that I've had, it's like they don't sell that great, and then some designs do. So it's like hit or miss. Like I put in the same amount of time for each design, and for it to maybe like fall through or not, you know?
Yeah, and you don't know it's so interesting because you don't know what the market's gonna want.
That is literally what I was just talking to my sister about that recently. I'm like, I like made this one specific design because I thought that it was gonna sell the most. And the one that was the most like taboo, which is my fuck off please hoodie, which was a last minute design, and also it's super quote 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 like vulgar.
Yeah.
Literally top seller, I swear. Like I was thrown. And the one that I planned for everybody to buy, least. Like the least amount of people bought it. It's crazy. Like you don't know.
Yeah, you never can tell.
Nah.
I saw you launched, was it yesterday or today? Crop tops, and they're out ready to be bought. This podcast is gonna go up on Thursday, so this is being recorded on Wednesday.
Oh wait,
so,
it's going up tomorrow?
Of course it's going up tomorrow. What do you think this is?
Beautiful.
That's why I had to have you on.
That's perfect then, because it dropped at 5:00 tonight, and people were watching it, and it was like so nice because I literally had like an order who literally she like bought it at like 5:01, and I hadn't even posted it up yet, but she right away bought it, and I really like them. They're actually really fucking cute. Everybody was asking me for crops. I had so many people ask me for crops, and I was like, you know what? Okay, I like a good crop top, so I did it. I love them. They're sexy as fuck. I love them so much. They look so good. So definitely, I'll be posting about it for the next probably week. So definitely, it's called Coppa Crop. Coppa Crop. So that's my collection.
Coppa Crop.
Yeah, so definitely take a peek-see at that.
So
you just gotta get one for your girlfriend. Or
oh,
for your
absolutely. That's part of my plan for tomorrow.
Yes.
I was like, I'm ordering this. Like,
you have
I
to.
gotta post it up, make sure I have the promo and everything ready for
Yes,
it.
one for the babe too. I'll make a like little one for the baby.
If you get the baby collection going, you already know.
I know, for real.
So obviously it's hard to decide on what type of products you're going to release. How what does that process look like for you? Because I know some people are probably listening and being like, I don't know what I should sell.
Yes, that's a great one. So when I was younger, I like told my dad that I always wanted to like be a business owner, and I was always bouncing back and forth with like what, and my dad was always like, sell something that people need, and sell something that people like fix something, and I'm like, okay, and I'm sitting here for my whole entire life like thinking that, and I just couldn't get it. So I was like, you know what, I want to do this. Like this is what I want to do. So like something that I'm passionate about, something that I like, or like even just like things that I like buying. Like I love buying shirts and hoodies. Like I love buying. I spend like bread on all that. So just deciding like what I enjoy, something that's not going to sit there and you're going to be like tedious and like, I don't want to do this. Where it's like something that you enjoy, but then also like I use social media a lot to get what people want. So like things that I like, obviously, but like for example, I go to the gym a lot. I would love to sell sports bras or whatever, but if I put a poll up and it was like sports bras or crop tops, more people would want crop tops. So I'm like, oh, okay, so a crop top is better. So like taking and balancing between like what you want and what you like and what's actually going to sell and what's going to be out there. And like I've been finding a balance with that a lot. And that was a great question that you asked, because that balance between like what you want to do and what you like should do is super important, because it's like I found myself for a while like coming up with ideas that I'm like, oh, this is gonna sell, this is gonna sell, this is gonna sell, but I wasn't like super passionate about it, so I didn't really want to like go through with it. So like finding something that you're passionate about and also that's like gonna sell is super important, if I'm making sense. It's definitely a hard thing to do, but like asking people, like talking to people, like how much do you buy a hoodie for? Like, do you like a crop top or a crew neck better? Or like, even when it comes down to like stupid things, like if people want to sell soap, like people literally make money off of soap. And it's like, how much would you buy a homemade bar of soap for? Or slime. It's like things like that. It's just like little things, and just talking to people and figuring out what they also like.
Yeah, and I think that you just touched on something super important. Like ultimately, there's a market out there for everyone, and the things that you are interested in actually matter too, right? Like you have to be passionate about the things you're gonna put out there into the world. You got to feel great about it. So finding that balance is important, because otherwise you're just not gonna have enthusiasm. You're not gonna be excited. No one else is gonna be excited.
Exactly. Like I wear every single thing that I have put up there. Like I make something that I will wear. Like I literally think I wear Dear Alissa probably like 99% of the time. Like I don't wear hoodies from anywhere else now, which sucks, but unless it's like a small business. But like I would not sell something that I wouldn't wear.
Yeah.
If I don't like the design, then I'm not going to do it. And I was like bouncing back and forth, even down to like fonts. I'm like, I mean, people would probably like this one, but I don't like it. All right, well then I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do something that if nobody's going to buy it, I'm going to rock it. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know?
It's your brand. It's you.
Exactly.
And I think it goes a long way, because it is so easy to get caught up in trying to please everyone and forgetting that like you also have to run this thing and do this yourself, and it has to be good to you. And then like you said, if you wouldn't wear it, then maybe it's not necessarily the thing that you want representing your brand.
Exactly.
Because it does have your name on it.
Literally, exactly. That's another thing where it's like my logo is literally my ass. Like, to be completely honest, it's like literally my butt. And for a while, I'm like, maybe I should make like an option where it's like not that and just says Dear Alissa instead of the picture. And I was like, you know what? Nah, fuck it. I want it. I like it. That's what I want to do. And I'm breaking the norms, and I don't give a fuck. Like today, for example, I'm wearing my Men Feel Shit Too, right? I wore it to the gym. I was introducing it to people, and then they're like, oh, we can't wear that, has an ass on. I was like, that's my logo, so if you don't like it, then don't buy. And like, oh shit, that's your logo? All right, I want one. Like,
Yeah.
it is what it is. You don't like it, okay. You know?
Yeah, it's like,
Love
that's the
you.
logo. This is the brand. This is the
But
business.
that's my brand. So it is what it is. And what like my main thing is like trying to like stop censoring a lot of things. Like I really just like, that's my whole point on starting, is like my little like slogan is fuck their norm, create your own. Like that's what I'm trying to do. So the norm is not to wear ass cheeks on your shirt, but that's what I want to do. So that's what I'm gonna do.
No, but that's what you got to do. You got to stick to you. Ultimately, there's so many people doing something. There's so many people doing them already. So you don't have to worry about filling their lane. You got to fill yours.
Exactly, 1000%.
So, what are some advice? Like, what's some advice that you can give somebody who's starting? Because I can tell you right now, it could feel daunting just looking at it, right? Like looking at someone start a business, especially selling merchandise and knowing the logistics and behind it and worrying about all that stuff. What's some advice you got for someone that's trying to start?
I would say if you have one person in your corner, then like you already have won. So like, yes, of course with yourself, but like if you have one person who's willing to wear your brand, like that's really all you need. You literally need one person, one customer. That's it. Even if it's your mom. Like if you get one customer, then you've done your job. And from there, like I feel like if you're starting with the intent not to make money, but like to like impact people or to make a difference or to spread your message or whatever it is, that's how you're actually going to impact people, because you're not sitting here like with the intent of I'm gonna be famous. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like that's what separates a lot of successful people from the ones who want to be successful but really can't get to it, is when you go in with the mindset that's like, I'm gonna be famous and I'm already gonna, like, you know what I mean? Like I already got it. Like go in humble, wanting to do it because you love it and because that's what your passion is and that's what your dream is. And if it's meant to grow, it's going to grow. Like that's something my dad, who's also a business owner, always told me, where it's like, put in your 100% effort and everything else is going to come. Like if you just put in your all, the success is going to come and it's just going to follow you. So that, I feel like that's my number one tip. Obviously I'll be basic like every other person who's starting a business, and don't just sit there and do it. Like, you know, everybody says that. But like I feel like what the main thing is that if people are listening and like actually paying attention to what I'm saying, they do want to start their own business and they know that they want to do it. But if when it comes down to it, like when they do start it, like stay humble and remember why you started. For sure. I would say that's my number one advice.
Yeah, you got to take action. You got to just be willing to put yourself out there. You got to try it. You got to be willing to make mistakes. I bet it wasn't easy every single time.
1000%, except the fact that some things just don't work. I had one design that sold nothing. My boy for it, but zero of them sold.
So you said I put all that work in.
Yep. So he got the prototype, which is fine, but like it's got some shit's not gonna work, and when it doesn't work, learn from it. Be like, all right, so maybe that wasn't the best idea. Doesn't look the best, or that wasn't a top seller. Learn from it, fix it, and then move on. And like also, I feel like another important thing is find your audience. Like you can't just be like, I want everybody to buy my shirts or everybody to buy my soaps. Like know who you're targeting, because that was my mistake for sure. Like I went to try to target everybody and that's when I sold nothing. So definitely find your target audience and who you connect with more as like customers.
Yeah. And you're learning and growing through it. So you're seeing it firsthand, like every single day on the front lines. Literally.
And I'm like, and it's a slow process for sure. I'm not going to say that I'm on the top number one brand, but like, no, it's a slow process. I talk about it a lot. I network a lot. I talk to a lot of people about it. And like, that's how things end up growing, is like talking about it and staying consistent. But that's the number one thing, is stay consistent. Like release podcasts every week, post every day. make stories every day, be obnoxious as fuck. And if people don't want to watch, then they're not going to watch. But the ones who do want to watch are going to watch.
Yeah.
So it's like, stay consistent and recognize who's actually there and who's not.
Yeah, it's crazy because what you're saying is so true. It's that consistency, it's the persistence, even when things aren't working or aren't going well. I remember I make these reels every now and then where I'm talking and I'm recording from the podcast or whatever. And like there's sometimes where people don't see them, where I get no reaction or I get so few views, and I'm like, dude, it takes me like the reel itself is like what 45 seconds, but it takes me like 25 minutes to make it, edit it, do all these things, and then you get very low like reception. And then you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna keep doing these. And I remember this past week I had posted one and I was like, I don't know, this one's not like getting the most feedback or most positive feedback. But then for some reason, I don't know who shared it or who picked it up, but someone must have shared it and had a big platform, because a ton of people in the last couple of days have like hit onto it. Like, and I'm like, how did so many people like to this moment are liking this? I'm like, who? I'm like, I posted this 2 weeks ago.
So sick because all of your audios are original.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I'm like, who just picked this up? But it just reminded me, like, don't give up so quickly on doing something that, one, I enjoy doing those, and two, it's like you don't have to see success right away for it to be worth it. And those people are right now converting into followers, which is even crazier because I wasn't expecting this from that.
That's fucking awesome.
Not to mention this is like the 14th video, so it's like I've been trying for that long.
But there it is. That's the lesson right there. Stay consistent. Like,
yeah,
is what's gonna do it. Some things are not gonna work, but you literally need that one thing that works. The one thing that works is the one thing that you needed, and it's like, if you didn't do all the ones before that, then you wouldn't have learned what people are gonna stick on to.
Yeah, you never know. So I want to ask a couple technical questions for people who might be like, all right, how do you make a website with a brand, and how do you sell? How does people pay you? So what is your website like? What kind of website are you using? What are you running with right now?
So I use a website creator. So there's a bunch of them. I use specifically Weebly because it's very simple, I'd say. My website took me a week of undivided attention to make, like day in, day out, literally doing nothing else. You build it from literally the bottom. Like you add your text box, which color, where you want this like drop down box, what you want in the drop down box. So it's very, very, very time consuming. 1000% would not change my website for the world. It's literally my like actual pride and joy. But like, you build it from the bottom. From there, I really like Weebly because if you want to build a store, you can build it right through Weebly. So like it's equally as time consuming to do that because you're literally starting from scratch. But I like Weebly help. Weebly support was my biggest friend, my best friend during that. Like, how do you do this? How do you do this? So that's definitely what's been helping me. I've heard other people talk about Shopify for stores. Other people, I know a very successful businesswoman from Texas who uses Etsy as her store. So she doesn't even have a website. She uses Etsy. There's a lot of different websites that you can use, but specifically what I recommend, what I really like about Weebly, it connects to everything. It connects to UPS, USPS. It connects to Square, which is how I get my shmoney. Like that connects right to my bank account. Like everything is just right there. So that I recommend Weebly for starting a business and website.
Awesome. Yeah, it's always cool to hear because there's so many different routes to go. And I think a lot of people don't know what options are available. And you just listed like 3 of them right there. So it's like
there's so many. And I found, honestly, the way I found all this was TikTok, which is so weird. But like, I like TikTok for research, not for scrolling, because I get distracted. But like, when it comes down to it, like YouTube is like 20-minute long videos to just say the same thing. And if you go into TikTok and just look up like starting a business or bulk printing or how to like start a business or how to start a clothing brand. Like 5 seconds in, you know what websites to go to. Like I found Bulk Apparel, which is where I like buy all my stuff from. Like you find where you have to buy stuff. There's people out there who know more than you, so use that to your advantage.
Yeah, do that research.
Yes, for sure. And it's so easy to do. TikTok, it's like you could take a day and you can find out everything you need to know. It's so nice.
I love it.
Yeah.
So we're coming up on the end of our time. I don't want to take up too much more of your space tonight. But where can people find you? Where can they connect with you online? Where can they buy the merch and listen to your podcast? Drop it all.
Okay, so I'll say I have a Hoovie link, which is where everything is. So HOO.be/Mommy Lissy. So MAMILISSY. I had to do that because I work with kids. Well, I worked with kids, so they couldn't find me. But that has everything in there. If you go to www.dearalissa.com, that also has everything in there. If you go to my Dear Alissa brand Instagram at Dear Alissa brand, that also has everything on there. Everything is connected everywhere you go. So I really want people to like see everything. So that's why I connected all there. But the crop tops for people who do want to do it, I did it as like a lucky day, whatever. So they're $22.22. So 2222.
Hey.
So definitely, yeah, that's the cheapest thing I have right now on the website. So I'm excited about that for sure. They're super, super cute. So definitely go buy that for your girlfriend.
You already know. Wow. Make sure y'all buying those gifts. You don't need a holiday to give a gift.
Exactly. Beautiful. Do it.
So last thing, what is next? What do you have on the agenda for the world? What do you got cooking?
So obviously I'm new items that are gonna get added for sure, but a lot of big people I have on my podcast coming up. So that's what I'm really excited for. I've done a lot of like cold reaching out and gotten a lot of feedback back. So I'd say a lot of networking and guests and connects. For sure. So stay tuned.
Saw you just had someone on the podcast last week, right?
Yeah, I had a couple people. I had a business owner who's literally like going Instagram famous because of her reels. I had her on there. I had another podcast queen from Minnesota who is my number one podcast that I listen to. I had her on, and I'll give a little like test, like teaser, but like a fitness superstar I'm gonna have on. So I'm really honestly a lot of connects. So I'm trying to grow the podcast because the brand is definitely growing, but podcast for sure I want to get some connects in there. So I've been getting a lot of different people on there.
I love it. Thank you for making some time to talk to me tonight. I definitely appreciate it.
No, thank you for asking me. I was so excited. I knew I've already been on here, but like so much has changed.
Yes.
So much. So I'm super happy. I always love coming on here. So whenever you'd like.
Of course. We'll stay connected.
Yes.
For the listeners, you know what it is. Another episode of Scribble Notes down. Catch y'all later. Like the episode. Leave some ratings. My ratings are popping up right now because people doing it. So rate the podcast, especially on Spotify. But that's it. Peace out.
Scribble notes when I wrote these quotes. If I offend, pardon me, there's more of me to grow. Creative in my process, enjoy the show. The will is different when you recognize the different strokes. Different folks, same goals, we all want the most. So when we reach the top, we can enjoy the toast. The type of bread we get is fresh about the bakery. Told them don't play with me, with or without a degree. Don't question my intensity, bravery. Similar to agencies that want to see you fold. So just pray for me. Einstein with my